Hey guys, and welcome back to Crouton Crafts. Today I'm going to show you how to make folded paper Christmas tree ornaments. These ornaments are super easy to make. They only require 5 sheets of paper and supplies that you probably already have on hand in your house or craft room. So without further ado, let's get started with the supplies list. So for this video, like I said, you're going to need 5 pieces of paper. I have, you're going to need 4 colors of green, and I chose you want paper that goes from a dark green to a light green with a couple shades in between. And you're also going to need a red shade for the star on top. I will put down in the description box below all of these papers that I used, the names, the manufacturers, the pattern number, whatever. I got all of these at Joann's and they were on sale. So that's what I chose with. And no, I am not sponsored by Joann's. You're also going to need a ruler of sorts. I'm using a quilting ruler because it's what I have. I'm also going to be using a rotary cutter. Again, it's what I have, and it's got a paper blade in it. It doesn't cut fabric real well anymore, so it has been designated or delegated to paper use now. If you don't have that, you can also use a pair of scissors. That's perfectly fine. I've got some wire here. This is gold wire, and I believe this is 16 gauge gold wire. 16 or 18 is perfectly fine. Some wire nippers to cut that wire, and some jewelry pliers. And of course a rotary mat, since I'm going to be using a rotary cutter. And then finally you're going to need some glue. This is just plain all-purpose Elmer's glue. So you can see here I've already started cutting this paper. I'm going to cut all 4 sheets, all green colors of my paper together at one time. It's just simplicity's sake. And you're going to need 4 different sizes of squares. I will put these measurements down below in the description box. You're going to need a 2-inch, a 2.5-inch, a 3-inch, and a 3.5-inch square for each tree. Because I have 4 pieces of paper here and I'm using 4 different colors of green, that's going to equate to 4 Christmas trees altogether. So I've got my papers stacked up here, and I'm just going to go ahead and get my ruler situated here. I'm going to start with the biggest square, the 3.5-inch size here. Making sure that everything is lined up. You want these pieces to be exactly square, because when you go to fold these, it definitely will make a difference in if they are square or not. So there's 3.5-inch square. I'm going to go ahead and continue on, and then I will be back. Alright, so I've gone ahead and got all my squares cut out. Got my 3.5-inch square, 3-inch square, 2.5-inch square, and 2-inch square. I'm going to set these aside, but all these pieces are going to be folded the exact same way. They are just going to be different sizes. But for video's sake, I'm going to use a large piece of paper, and I'm going to use a light colored pattern here, just so you guys can see exactly what I'm doing here. So this is super simple. It might take a couple of tries to get used to these folds or to understand these folds, especially the last 2. The first 3 are super easy. But it's just 5 folds. All of your papers are going to be folded the exact same way. So with the pattern side up, we're going to fold this in half, matching up these 2 edges right here. And you want to crease that right there. Go ahead and open this back up. Turn it 90 degrees and fold it again, lining up these 2 edges right here. Crease that. Open this back up, so you will now have 2, basically a big plus sign in the middle of your paper. You're going to flip this over so the pattern side is down, wrong side is up, and we're going to fold this point to point diagonally. Now this is where this paper will tell you whether you cut this exactly square or not, because when you fold this and crease that, your points should match up on either side. You can see this paper is just slightly off because it's just slightly off of the point right there. Really, it's not going to make that much of a difference, but you want this as square as possible. So we got that crease there. Go ahead and open this back up. Again, pattern side down, and this is where it gets kind of complicated. You're going to turn this so this diagonal line is perpendicular to your body here, and you're going to start at the point furthest from you, and you're going to fold these two folds here, or edges where these creases are, up to this line right here. And I'm going to mark this line so you guys can see it. This line right there. You're going to fold this point right here on the paper. See if you can see that. That point right there, and this point right here up to this line right here. So I'm going to start on the right side because I'm left-handed. It doesn't matter what side you start on. This point right here is going to be folded up to this line right here. So just fold that up, and you want to make sure that this crease intersects the center of your paper here where all the other creases intersect. This point right here, you're going to make sure that your fold goes right through the center there. And I'm going to mark this on the other side so you can see these two points and where I'm lining this up here. So this point right here, right there, up to there, making sure that the crease goes right through this intersection here. And when you can see it when you get here, it'll be a pivot point for your folder. You'll be able to feel it and see it. But I've got that lined up now. See it off to the side. Just going to line that up, going right through the center here, and I'm going to crease this, just like that. Now I'm going to open this up, and I'm going to take this point here and bring it up to this point, or this crease here. Again, making sure to get it through that center pivot, center crease there, line that up there. See if you can see that, and crease that. And those are all 5 of your folds now. This is what your paper will look like. The reason that we flipped this right side and wrong side, and it's important that you keep right side and wrong side correct, is because when we go to fold this into the shape that we need, all your folds and creases will be where they need to be. So to get this into its final position, super simple here. You're just going to take this diagonal, fold it in half, and push it together. And these creases will just form the shape that you need. And this is the shape that you need. I'm going to press this flat like that. And there is your completed module, if you will, of your ornament. And you want to do this with all pieces of your paper, all sizes, even the little tiny ones. And these little tiny ones are a little complicated. They're a little bit more difficult because they are so small, but they are the exact same folds. So I'm going to go ahead and get all my paper folded, and I will be back. Alright, so I've got all 4 pieces completed here of one ornament. Now what you're going to do is take a pair of scissors, and I know you're not going to want to do this, but it is necessary for this ornament. We're going to cut the very tips of these points off. Just the very tip. I don't even know how much you can see there that I did. Just enough to get the wire through there. Because the wire is not strong enough to actually pierce through this paper, A, because the wire is not strong enough, and B, because this paper is thick, you just want to make a little hole at the tip of each of these little pieces, and this is the best way I found to do that. So just take the very tip off of each one. Alright, and now we can glue these up. So to get these together, they are going to slide together. Now, you can just glue these like this, that's perfectly fine. However, I think they look better and they lay better when you nestle these folds here into or behind the folds of the bigger piece beneath it. So you can see there it's just how it's just, you know, laying on top. If you nestle this in, so you get these folds here behind that point. I don't know how well you can see that there. See See how that's nestled in behind there? And get that up. It lays a lot better than, say, that side. See the difference there between when they're nestled and when they're not nestled? It just looks better to me. So I'm going to nestle all my pieces together and just lift up the things here and kind of work it in. You'll see this and understand it better when you get your hands in here. It's kind of hard to describe and explain, but there you go. And these pull out and move in. They're like little interlocking pieces now, and this will not fall off. However, I am going to glue these just because they're ornaments and I want these to last for years, basically. So what I'm going to do is just put a little bit of glue here, and I'm using a toothpick to do this. I'm just going to put a little bit of glue right on either side of this, because I don't want this to... Elmer's glue has a tendency to make paper wrinkle because it's wet, and I don't want these to wrinkle. So I'm going to slide this in and get these pieces interlocked here on one side and on the other, just like that. Space these as much as or as little as you want, and then you will just want to let this dry. And after that's had a chance to get set up, you want to do this again with your next piece. And again, make sure to get this nestled in here. Try to get that in frame so you can see what I'm doing here. Like that. Space it out to how you want it. And then let that tack up a little bit, and then finally put on your last piece. Now for the star on top, I've got a red paper here, and it's got kind of a small pattern here, so that way you can see the pattern on the star. When you're choosing papers for this, you want to kind of keep that in mind. For all of these pieces, really, you want to use a small pattern just so the patterns stand out and you can actually see them in the finished ornament. For this star is what they call a lucky star, I guess. I learned how to make these back when I was in grade school or junior high or something like that. It's been many, many years that I've known how to make these. There's plenty of tutorials already on YouTube about how to make these, but I'll just go over it really quick because they're super simple. You're going to need a strip of paper, and this strip of paper you're going to need is 5/8 of an inch wide. So I'm just going to use my ruler here, line up. I don't know if my ruler was right side so I can get an accurate measurement here. Just line up the 5/8 line here. And the scrapbook paper is 12 inches wide, so the finished size that you're going to need is 5/8 by 12 inches, which that is. Now to do these, it's super simple. All you're going to do, let me get this focused so you guys can see what I'm doing. There we go. You're just going to take this strip of paper, and on one end you're going to tie an overhand knot in the piece of paper. And you want to work this down to the end, so you just have a little tiny tail here. And you want to pull this tight, not so tight that you tear the paper, but you want it tight so everything lines up and all your corners meet, and you make a perfect little, what is this called? Pentagon, a five-sided figure, if you will. Just pull this tight. You can see there, just kind of work it around, and you'll see this and understand it when you get it in your hand. And then you just want to crease this like that. Take your little tail here, fold this over. And I'm going to fold this so the rest of my strip is wrong side up. And we're just going to start wrapping this around this pentagram, whatever, five-sided figure. And you will see when you get this in your hand and feel it, there is one way that it wants to go and lay flat. And it's like that. You just wrap it around. If you try and force it to go this way, you're going to have a little loop there, and it's not going to lay flat, and it won't work like that. So just fold it like it wants to go and keep wrapping it around. Now don't fold these creases or fold these so tight or pinch them down so much that you actually get a fold. You just want to wrap these because we're going to pinch this. And when you pinch it, when these have been creased really hard, it's kind of hard to pinch and it'll fight you. So just wrap this around until you get a little tiny tail like that. And in your last fold there or wrap, you'll see that it has a little space that it can tuck into. And all you're going to do is tuck this into that. And no matter where you end up, you will always have a little place to fold into. If you want to, you can glue that. I'm not going to worry about it. Now comes the fun part of pinching this into a star, because right now it's not a star. All you're going to do is choose a side. I'm going to use my index finger for this. And you're just going to press it in. And what happens by pressing it in is it will crease like that. And when you keep doing this all the way around, this little star will blow up, or inflate itself, if you will, into a star. Now I should probably glue that because it doesn't want to stay in. I'll do that later. But oops, don't drop it. You can see there, you have a little star. And these are called little origami lucky stars, I guess. But there you go. That's going to be the topper for our Christmas tree. All right, so now it's time to assemble this and get a hanger on it. I've got my star, got my tree, got a little bit of glue, and I have my wire here. Now you want to take your wire and you want to cut a piece that is about 6 inches long or so, give or take. Doesn't have to be perfect at all. Just get yourself a little piece of wire there. And I'm going to take my jewelry pliers here. I'm going to move this out of the way so you can see what I'm doing here. And I'm going to take the bottom ½ inch or so and fold this up and, I don't know, 90 degree or so, and then put another little piece in so it looks kind of like that. That's going to stop and bottom out this wire in the bottom of our tree. So all I'm going to do is straighten this wire out a little bit, and I'm going to insert the wire up inside of our tree there, and hopefully if all these are lined up correctly, the wire will just slide through all those little points that we cut off. And you might have to help it out a little bit here. There we go. The wire has now come out. Now you just want to pull this up until this piece here bottoms out on the inside of this piece right here. You might have to play around with this, but you just want to get it up there so it bottoms out, just like that. Now I'm going to put the star on top, just like this. We're going to need to put a hole in the bottom here, and I'm just going to use an awl for this. It really doesn't, you know, if you got a sewing needle, that works just fine as well. Just so the wire doesn't have to poke a hole in the paper, and then push it through the very top there. Because like I said, this wire is not very strong, so it doesn't want to go through all these layers of scrapbook paper. And you just want to put it on like that. Now I'm going to go ahead and glue this. Get a little glue with my toothpick here, and put a little glue on the underside of this star. Again, not a whole lot, just enough to keep it in place, if you will. Press that down, and that should dry nicely. Now I'm going to leave about, I don't know, ½ an inch, 3/4 of an inch or so of wire here at the bottom. And using my jewelry pliers, I'm just going to twist this around and make an eye loop at the top. So we have a nice little hanger, or a loop to hang this from, I should say. Be careful with this because you don't want to tear out your paper. And that is not my best work right there, but you get the idea there. Slide this down, make sure everything is where it's supposed to be. And that right there is your finished folded Christmas tree ornament. Folded paper Christmas tree, not folded Christmas trees, folded paper Christmas tree. And there you go. And one sheet of, well, I should say 4 sheets of scrapbooking paper will give you 12, I think, of these ornaments. I'm sure you could probably work it out so you can get 16 out of them. But yeah, there you are. There is your finished and completed ornament. I hope you guys enjoy. If you give this a try, I would love to see it. Go ahead and post pictures on my Facebook page, facebook.com/crouton.crackerjacks. If you like this video, be sure to give it a thumbs up. I would greatly appreciate it. Subscribe for more crafting videos. I've got many more ornament videos coming up. So if you'd like to see those, definitely subscribe. Thanks so much for watching, and we will see you next time.